What's going on, guys? This is Omari, and in this video we are going over 10 common, very silly mistakes that artists make with Facebook and Instagram ads literally all the time. Now, we know this because we manage dozens and dozens of ad accounts for artists and musicians and labels and managers and whatever on Facebook and Instagram. So when we get in there, when we first take over the account and manage them, we see these all the time. And the worst part about this is that artists who don't get managed by a professional agency, it doesn't even have to be us, don't get managed by a professional, think that their ads are performing well. That's the bad part. So they'll say like, oh, I'm getting great results on Facebook and Instagram, or I know what I'm doing. And then you actually go in there and look, and it turns out not so much. And we don't mean that as like an insult or a bad thing. It's just when you are not a professional marketer, or like you're trying to figure this out on the side, that's why you need somebody to come and help you out. So even if you're just watching this video, pay attention and actually do these things to improve your Facebook ad account. So the first mistake that we're going to go over is doing worldwide targeting. You never want to do worldwide targeting. I will show you why. So if you come into your Facebook and your Facebook Ads Manager and you look under the locations, if it just says worldwide in this section here, that is not a good sign. Why it's not a good sign is that whatever goal you chose for the campaign, like let's say you chose traffic, it's just going to optimize that ad for getting as many clicks as possible, regardless of the location. And when you set it for worldwide, that means that it's just going to what we call tertiary countries. It's not an insulting term whatsoever. It just means that some markets have much cheaper cost per click, and thus Facebook, you're just telling Facebook, send this to the cheapest place. So a lot of times that happens to be India or Indonesia or countries in Africa or something like that. Now that doesn't mean that you still can't target those locations. It just means that the cost per clicks there are going to be cheaper. And when let's say you want an audience that's primarily in the United States, and you think just because I threw this location, just because I put United States in my location settings, it's, some of the clicks will go there. Probably not when you just set it for worldwide targeting. So that's number one mistake. Number two mistake is targeting to narrow without having a goal for monetization. So like I said, with worldwide targeting, it's just looking for the cheapest click. For narrow targeting, it is getting much more expensive. So let's say that instead of all the United States, I wanted to just target Georgia or just target Atlanta. Atlanta is going to be more expensive than going just Georgia because I have a smaller group of people that I want to focus the attention on, and Facebook knows that. So they're saying, all right, if you just want to do this location, this local ad, it's going to charge you more because they're thinking to themselves and to the AI and the algorithm, this person knows what they're doing because they just want to go in Atlanta, and they probably are going to get a better return on their investment. That's the thinking behind it. If you have no goal of monetization, meaning you don't have like a live show coming up in that area, or you're not planning a live show in the next 3 months or 6 months to where you can sell out some tickets and do some merch and sell things on your website. Like if that's not your plan, you really don't want to go too narrow to have it by city. Sometimes you can get away with doing it by state, but usually if you're just trying to get new fans, or you're trying to get more streams on Spotify or YouTube or wherever, you want to go a little bit broader. So not worldwide, but you want to go like, country based versus down to the local level. The third point we're going to make is not excluding audiences. So if you come into your Facebook and Instagram ads and you look under the excluding audiences section, this is best for when you already have followers on Instagram. For example, let's say you're running an ad that you're trying to get more Instagram followers. You want to exclude people who have already followed you or visited your profile. So there's no option, unfortunately, for creating an audience to have just Instagram followers within the Facebook ads. Hopefully they'll make one. Maybe by the time you're watching this video, they already made it. But right now, the best option you have is just excluding people who've already visited your profile. And reason being is if they've already visited your, or in order to follow you, they have to at least have visited your profile. So it doesn't mean that like you're not going to get a one-to-one. Like obviously not everybody who visited your profile has followed you, but that's the closest you're going to get. And if you're running a follower ad for Instagram, for example, you want to exclude at least the people who visited your profile. So if you get into more advanced ads where you're trying to get people to buy stuff, then you want to exclude people who've already bought something. If you're serving ads trying to get people to be interested in your service or your product, you want to exclude buyers at that final stage. So that's point number 3. Point number 4 is not making the right lookalike audiences. Now, if you don't know what a lookalike audience is, it's essentially just saying, here's some characteristics of an audience, and I want Facebook to find me people that look like this, that have these characteristics. So the best lookalike audience to make is obviously you have to think about it in terms of what's the most difficult action for somebody to take. The most difficult action is somebody buying something from you or purchasing something from you. That's going to be the smallest percentage of people. Most people aren't going to buy something from you. You're just looking for the people with the characteristics of those who did buy something from you. So that's like the best audience you can have. A step down from that would be people who maybe visited particular pages of your website or added something to a cart but didn't check out yet. Or go down the list. Think of every action you have to take before you buy something or before you follow somebody. Like, what's the easiest action this person took versus what's the hardest action they took? The hardest action they took is the one you really want to get to, but it's just harder to get that data at the beginning. So you have to work your way up to it. So let's say that you didn't have anybody buy anything at all. You have to start with, all right, here's these people. Here's everybody who engaged with my Instagram page. Let's start there. Or everybody who engaged with my Facebook page. Let's start there. Then work your way down to, here's people who actually watched more of my videos than just, engaged with the page. Then there's people who actually clicked on my website or actually liked my page or actually visited my profile. Then there's people who showed up to these different checkout pages. Then there's people who initiated a checkout. Then there's people who added something to a cart. Then there's people who actually bought something. Then there's people who bought something multiple times over their lifetime. So think about those when you're creating your lookalike audiences. The next point is not testing interest-based versus lookalike audiences. So the lookalike audience is kind of like the prime goal that you're reaching after, but a lot of times with ads that you are not looking for a conversion from, and a conversion is like you're trying to get people to buy something off your website, like a t-shirt or whatever. If you're not trying to do that, a lot of times there's some ads that actually work better with interest-based audiences. And an interest-based audience is like people who just like Justin Bieber, like they have an interest in Justin Bieber. Now you might be saying, okay, I make music like Justin Bieber, but not totally, but I can try to target some of his fans, right? So that's an interest-based audience. The lookalike audience would be getting a little bit more granular and saying that I've been targeting Justin Bieber's fans for so long that I now have my own data and can try to get more lookalike audience going forward. But the thing is, you need more data to make a good lookalike audience. So you usually need at least like 1,000 people to take one action to get a good lookalike audience. And the more data you give Facebook, the better your lookalike audience is going to look. So that's what I'm saying. Sometimes it's better to do the interest-based audience for a while before you get enough data to have to have a good lookalike audience. All right. Point number 6. Not having your pixel set up properly. Now, in order to get those lookalike audiences from your website, like let's say you're trying to get more people, a buyer's lookalike audience, you need to have your pixel set up properly on your website. If you do not have your website, you need a website as an artist for all these reasons that I'm saying in this video. So you can either, try to go look at our podcast and get some tips from there. If you really want to do it yourself, you can. If you want to be one of the people that has a professional set it up for you and do all this pixel stuff and make sure that it's optimized for conversions and, set up your merch store for you and set up your products and services, then you can click the button in this video or below this video, wherever it is, and check out our options for website design and management. So again, this is having the difference between a professional set it up for you who's been in the business for years and actually had success in the business and knows marketing, and me and my team can come in and do it. Or, you can try to look at tutorials and do it yourself, but you need to follow the tips that I'm saying. Don't just go get a cheap website. Like, if you're just going to go get a cheap website, don't do it. Save up your money so that you can have a good website. Next point, number 7, level of priority for goals. Actually, I'm going to go back to number 6 for a second. So your pixel set up properly means that you have all of the conversion objectives that you want. Like, it's not just, I have a pixel on a website. It's, I've selected the goals that I want for the pixel. And we'll get to it a bit more later, but I didn't want to touch on that for a second because Facebook, maybe by the time you guys even watch this video, Facebook makes changes all the time to like how the pixel works on the website. And with the big iOS 14 update, they changed the way that pixels and goals work for your ads. So you have to like pay attention and know what you're doing with these things. But I did want to mention that. So number 7, level of priority for goals. Now, this is what I was talking about a second ago. So now if we go into if you go to data, actually, let's see where it is here. If you go to Events Manager and then you set up your pixel there, there's still another step you have to do before you can use that data for your ads. So you're going to have to go into your web event configurations inside of that. And then you now have to, first you have to go into the pixel and create the goals for your ad. And I'm not going to do the step-by-step here because, like I said, by the time you guys watch this, it might literally look different. They change this thing all the time. But I'm going to give you the concept so that it sticks with you. You have to go and do your the conversion objectives. So you go to Events Manager, you're going to set up your pixel. You're going to say that this is what a conversion is like on my website. Here's what a page view looks like on my website. Here's what an add to cart looks like on my website. And depending on if you do it through WordPress or you have Wix, like setting that up is different. That's why I'm not walking you through that step by step, but that's what it looks like to set up your pixel. Then you have your web event configuration, which is just saying that here's some of the goals I have. Like my top goal, as I was saying, would be a purchase. And then under that would be maybe initiate checkout. And then under that would be add to cart. And then under that would be visiting these pages. And then under that would be anybody who visits my website. Like those are all the different goals that you can have. And Facebook lets you have 8 right now. That's the way it goes. Before you could have as many, like you could have a bunch of priorities for goals. Like getting a lead would be a goal. A lead is just somebody signing up for your email list. Like those are the top goals. So the way you want to prioritize them is in that logic that I just gave of like, here's the toughest thing to get somebody to do. Here's some easier things. All right. So number 8, we're at headline within the ad. And what that means is just simply, if you guys will go look at, let's pull one up here. A headline in the ad just means that it's not just the video on the timeline. Like if you guys have seen like a wrap around a video, it has like a black bar at the top and at the bottom. And then like it has some words in the top and the bottom of those black bars. That is the type of thing we're talking about. So let's go look at an example from a client. All right, so here in this video, this is what I'm talking about, headline within the ad. So this has a nice caption on top and on bottom. It doesn't have to be on top and bottom all the time. Sometimes it can just be on the top, sometimes it can just be on the bottom. But that's what it looks like, and that helps draw more attention to the ad than just having the video on there. So you don't want to make it too big because then Facebook won't show it as much and it'll charge you more for it. But just make it just enough that you have enough difference to your ad that helps people stop and pay attention to it. Number 9, need to make different ads for stories versus the feed, etc. So what I mean by that is different formats perform differently. So if you try to do like a widescreen 16:9 video for story ads, that's not going to perform as well as a 9:16. So a lot of times people will try to be lazy and they'll try to just let Facebook do automatic placements for your ad. And you don't really want to do that. What you want to do is have different ads, even though you could be saying the same message, but just take a little bit of extra effort and change your camera the different way around in order to get the story ad looking. And then you could also do feed ads that are the widescreen ones. So having that is going to make enough of a difference. And also think about how people go through those different sections of Instagram or Facebook. So in the stories, think about, do they have the volume on when they're looking at stories? What type of ads would get me to stop when I'm looking at a story? Like, think about those things when you're making the ads. Don't just do automatic placements and be lazy. And then the last one we have here, wrong objective for the ad. And by that, I mean, if you're trying to get conversions on a website, then you want to pick a conversion-based ad. You don't want to do a traffic ad because it's just telling Facebook I want cheap clicks. It's not saying I want to optimize for conversions. If you're trying to get more engagement on an ad, engagement ads are going to work better than traffic ads. So those are the 10 most common mistakes we see on Facebook and Instagram. And again, if you guys have made it to this point in the video, you're already way more serious than most artists. So take these tips and actually do them. And if you're going to be one of the people who just wants to skip a lot of this process and just see how a professional agency does it, then click the button in this video. You can get our Facebook and Instagram ads management. You can also get Spotify promotion, Apple Music promotion, TikTok, and website design and management. You can see all those options on our website. And I'll catch you guys in the next video.